And but before we get started, I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping. We don't really have time to do introductions for everyone, but what might be fun is to have people put their name and a note in the chat room. And the chat you can find at the bottom of your screen. And just put your name, and if you'd like to put a note, you can, then everybody can see who's here. You can also touch on the participant note, participant button, and that will also let you know who all is at the meeting or at the event if you're interested. So I would like everyone to put themselves on mute to get rid of the background noise. And also, if you start to see the screen freezing or things kind of going crazy, it'll work really well if you turn off your video as well. So mute yourself, and if you're having any troubles, go ahead and turn off your video. And you can do that in the up in your box by kind of clicking around in there. Also, I think it works best if you view the program in speaker mode. And in speaker mode, you can find that up in the box of your little video, up in the top corner, top right-hand corner, the three little dots. You should be able to find speaker mode. And then you'll only see the one person who's actually speaking at that particular time.
I don't think I have that.
Pardon me?
I don't think I have that. Speaker mode. I can't find it.
Up at, when you look in your little box where you see your face, there are some different modes at the top that you can click on. And if you just continue to click on those, you'll find one of them that that makes it so that you just see the screen, and then you see a small box that shows.
Well, you're already on it, yes.
Okay. So I'm hearing a lot of background noise, so please put yourself on mute.
Like a glass of
Help us out a
water.
lot. And if we continue to hear background noise, I think Karen, Karen, I think you can go in and mute people. It's quieter. So one last thing before I turn it over to Julie, I'd like to thank the Scholar Relations team that made this event possible. Gretchen Ingbring was fantastic. She wrangled all of our scholars and got all of their slides together and put it into this nice program. Kathy Lassiter organized the plaques. So each of our scholars got a small little glass plaque in honor of their 3 years with ARCS. And if you didn't get one, please let us know and we'll figure out why. You probably went to the wrong address or something. And I'd also like to thank Mary Strickler, my co-VP, Karen Ogg, and Leanne Verborth for all the help with this event. So now I will turn it over to Julie.
Thanks very much, Malia. And Malia didn't give herself any credit for helping with this. And she's a visionary and a recovering engineer, I guess, thinking outside the box and helping. So thank you, Malia, in addition. And yes, we're celebrating 22 third-year scholars this year, and would love to do the normal thing of having you at a celebratory dinner event, but since Mr. COVID moved into town, that is not possible. But we would love to be seeing you in that kind of an environment. As Malia said, there are 22, 8 at OHSU, which was our first partner, 12 at Oregon State, and 2 at our newest university partner, the University of Oregon. This is a wonderful group, and we've learned a lot from many of you when you've shared your research as being a scholar speaker at one of our programs. Or for example, Tanya Laird was a speaker at the All Members Conference that was held for all ARCS members from all 15 chapters. Fortunately, the year before COVID came, so we were able to meet in downtown Portland, and Tanya was part of a panel from robotics who helped share information that they were learning, and it was fabulous. So thank you, Tanya. Some of you provided lab tours, and it's always fascinating to hear what you're learning and see the environment in which you're learning. And we all learn because of you, which is clearly one of the significant benefits of being a member in ARCS. Some of you have shown up in annual reports or other printed literature for us, and we thank you for the ability to do that with us. There are a couple of scholars I would like to point out, because sometimes there are personal connections that either are expected or unexpected that enrich in our lives. And so I would like to say thanks to Sunil Joshi at OHSU. He just happened to be working on research for the FLT3 mutation in acute myeloid leukemia, which was what my husband was diagnosed with. And Terry was a former pilot, and so we thought FLT was flight 3, and they pronounce it FLIT, but Terry and I pronounced it flight because that was more Air Force talk. And so thank you, Sunil, for your research in that area, because the disease is so very devastating for so many. So thank you for that personal touch that wasn't expected, but certainly valued. And I'd also like to reach out to Greg Hammersky. He has been a scholar for Terry and me and for Lynn and Charlie Cameron for 3 years. And it's been fun to see him all dressed up, playing the bass in an orchestra, and then to have him for dinner. And we hope that all of you have had opportunities to develop relationships between scholar and donor. They enrich in all of our lives. And thank you on the next slide for the donors. We have 38 donors. Can we move the slide?
We should be able to. For some reason, I'm not able to move the slide. Sorry about that. Okay.
There we go. There we go. To the many generous donors. So there are 38 people listed here, members and their spouses, and non-members too. It's wonderful to have such philanthropic members. So in addition to paying your dues, which helps fund chapter scholars, these people reach out and help fund additional scholars out of their own pocketbooks in addition to their dues. And so like Marilyn Bergen isn't a member, but we certainly welcome her participation and appreciate her support in helping fund scholars. And then there's a 10th anniversary award created through the members and outreach, and built the fund to the point where we could start throwing off a scholarship, a scholar award through that 10th anniversary endowment. So we sincerely appreciate all of the 38 donors to the School of Nursing, Medicine, many colleges at OSU and College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Oregon. We recently sent out 139 boxes of cookies from the Philanthropy Committee, thanking donors. And when you think that most of these 139 people also have a partner or spouse, we're probably looking at 250 people through ARCS who donate to support scholars. And this is a terrific leverage for our futures. And we're we're counting on all of you third-year scholars to go forward and make all of our lives richer and better in the future for humans, for animals, for plants, and even for outer space. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start the program with Hannah, and I'll go through the slides. They'll be in alphabetical order, not in order of schools. So Hannah, if you can just give us a couple of minutes to talk about your slide.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. So like, hello everyone, long time no see. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I've joined ARCS. Like tiny update on my research. As of like earlier this year, I kind of finished up one project and started another one, which is really exciting in theory and also really hard in practice. You have a bunch of new kinks to work out. But I kind of summed up this like first project in this little picture that you guys see on the right, which is just my host receptor and the guest that we're trying to bind, and studying the equilibrium between those two things. So that's been my science lately. But I also this year have mentored 3 different people, 2 graduate students, and 1 undergrad, and that has been super duper rewarding. And you guys will also see on the slide, I adopted a pandemic kitty. His name is Ezra. He's made a couple appearances already in our Zoom call here today. So apologies if he continues to do that. But yeah, things are looking up. My partner of 6 years just arrived in Eugene too, after having not seen him for the entirety of the pandemic. So things are going really well here on my end. And I'm super appreciative of all the support that you guys have offered for the past 3 years, especially this past year. It has not been easy, and you know, any support makes a huge difference. So thank you guys. And if you have science questions, like message me and we can talk about them in private chat. But yeah, have a
Thank
good
you so
evening.
much. Thank you so much, Hannah. Hey, Michael. Is Michael Berry not here? Hey,
I don't think he's on the call.
okay, thanks, Leanne. I can't really check right now, so. Okay, so we'll move on to Katie. Katie Bliss.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie, and I am a PhD student at OHSU. In my research, I've been wrapping up my first main project, which has been looking at the spatial organization of cells in cancerous tumors, and specifically in head and neck cancer tumors. And moving on to apply some of the methods that I've developed to quantify the spatial organization to new data sets, including breast cancer and pancreatic cancer. And trying to figure out patterns that are predictive of survival in response to treatment, which we are hoping will help inform the treatment of future cancer patients. And this summer, I'll be mentoring an undergraduate student, which I'm really looking forward to doing in our lab. Outside of school, I have really been enjoying the Pacific Northwest. I'm from the Midwest originally, so I've liked all of the backpacking and hiking opportunities out here. Similar to Hannah, we also adopted a cat during the pandemic. His name is Boots. He's very cute. And I've also been playing Ultimate Frisbee in the summer of 2019, and hopefully later this summer as well, once vaccines are rolled out. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for ARCS and everything that it has helped in my school life and personal life as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, I have this problem. If I do anything, and all of a sudden I get booted out of the system here. There we go. Okay. Emerson, is Emerson online? I didn't see him.
He is not.
Okay, thank you. Brian Erickson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Erickson from Oregon State University, a chapter scholar. So thank you to everyone that has contributed along the way. It's been a big year here. I'm back in Portland now, even though I'm still at Oregon State. Research-wise, my research has undergone a complete shift, as research right now is not possible for me in Kenya and Tanzania. So I'm excited to sort of transition my work to working here in Oregon. I've got 2 projects that are started and one more that's about to get off the ground pretty soon here. Looking at trust and distrust related to marine reserves. Hopefully, the Kenya and Tanzania work is just on pause and we'll be able to start it later this year or next year. Life-wise, I have not adopted any cats. We already have 2 of those. But I did have a son back in August. My son Foster is giving us a run for our money and given new challenges every day, which is a great time. And then I think that's about it for me and updates right now. So just thank you all for the support and sort of the peace of mind that's come along with ARCS as we navigate through all of these changes in our lives.
Thank you, Brian, and congratulations on a new baby. That's a huge accomplishment. Okay, Justina.
Hi, I'm Justina Freilich. So during my time as an ARC scholar, I've been working on, I did a little bit of work looking at radiation shielding for space applications, which was really fun. And I have just started, I'm actually living in Idaho now, working with Idaho National Lab, looking at soft robotics for nuclear monitoring. So that's been really fun. Yeah, I'm very grateful to my sponsors, Connie and Carl Clark. It's been really, really nice, not only having the financial support, but really having that personal connection, especially in COVID. They've been kind of like my pen pals. So it's been really great. I recently completed my master's degree. As I mentioned, I moved to Idaho Falls, Idaho, which was a pretty big move. So it's been an exciting 3 years. So yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate ARCS.
Thanks, Justina. And thanks for your talks as an ARCS member at some of our events. We appreciate that. Greg.
Hello, I'm Greg. I'm from OHSU and I'm in the neuroscience program. Oh, I see someone added the donor. I was gonna say, I forgot to thank Julie, Terry, and the Camerons on my slide, but someone added that for me, so thank you for that. But what I have been studying in my research, I guess isn't super relevant now because cocktail parties are kind of off the table, but the cocktail party effect is basically when you can hear one person talking to you or any sound over noise in the background, and basically looking at how your brain is encoding those different sounds and how that leads to the percept of understanding one person over all of the other things that are happening in the background. So I've been working on that, and that's been slowly getting more underway. We work with monkeys, so it was kind of a little slow getting back up after the quarantine. But in the meantime, while I wasn't able to hang out with monkeys, I got plants at home, so that was fun. And just generally did a lot of the things that the Pacific Northwest has to offer. And there's a picture of me helping my friend carry his dog up a ladder on a hike in the Utah desert. So things like that have kept me busy in addition to research. And yeah, so thanks again, Julie.
Thanks, Greg. So we're going to now hear from Karen Ogg, who is an ARCS member, and Karen's going to talk about how you can keep in touch with ARCS.
Okay, everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Karen Ogg. I'm a past president of the Oregon chapter, and I'm the incoming president of ARCS National. This event has always been one of my favorites, and I'm so disappointed we can't all be together in person. Thank you for the great slide presentations we've seen so far. I know we all look forward to hearing about your research, plus learn a few personal facts about each of you. It's so extremely heartwarming to also hear how you all feel about ARCS. Even though financial support is what brought us together, we really cherish our personal relationships with each of you. Unfortunately, during the time you have been a scholar, the pandemic has robbed us of many times we would normally spend together, and we are missing that personal connection with you. I'm here to encourage you to stay in touch with us. We would love to hear about your publications, your job, your promotions, any honors you receive, and when you will present your defense. It's easy to stay in touch. First of all, update your profile on the website. There is a section where you can choose a variety of ways to be involved with us. You can be a speaker at an ARCS event or meeting. You can sponsor a field trip to your facility. You can participate in PR endeavors for the chapter. You can make a tax-deductible contribution. You can also become a member or friend of ARCS. You can have ARCS members attend your dissertation or other presentations. And you can also join ARCS social media. Here are a few examples I'd like to share with you where scholars have connected with us. Recently, 2 of our ARCS alums became ARCS members and are involved in our committee work. And we really value their opinions to make ARCS a better organization. And one of those ARCS alums members is here tonight, Gretchen, who you'll hear from later. And then several of our scholars participated on an ad hoc committee to help the chapter create a statement about diversity and inclusion. During our member programs, we always include a scholar speaker, and several of you have presented your research. Also on the website, we feature scholars and would love you to tell us your story. Your stories are what helps us fund more scholars just like you. On the slide, you can see the chapter takes advantage of several social media platforms. We have 2 pages on LinkedIn, ARCS Foundation Oregon, where you or we can request you to connect with us. And then we have the LinkedIn company page named ARCS Foundation Oregon Chapter. And when you go to this page, you can follow us. Currently, we have 268 people and organizations who are following us. And we just began this about 6 months ago. So I'm really encouraged about the numbers that we have so far. We have Facebook, and so make sure you like our features on there and follow us. We have an Instagram account, and presently we don't have a Twitter account for the chapter, but National has a Twitter account. And we just attended a webinar on creating a Twitter account, and it looks very easy. So I think we'll get that started too. And we understand a lot of the scholars are involved in this social media. We want to congratulate you as you continue to move forward to completing your PhD degree. Be sure to let us know when you defend your thesis, because we all enjoy coming and sharing that milestone with you. We as ARCS Foundation care about you and are interested in your careers, wherever that might take you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That was a great message. And we do love to know what you're doing. And particularly for the 3rd years, as you approach your dissertation, we really do like to come to your dissertation. So email anybody and we will make sure that that information gets broadcast to our membership. Okay, so we will continue on with our scholars. Jesse.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jesse Howe, and I study a protein called LC8. So LC8 is a ubiquitously expressed protein that is expressed in every cell in your body. And what it does is it binds to over 100 client proteins and thereby alters their function somehow in the cell. So the protein in particular that I'm studying is this LC8 binding partner called 53BP1, and it's an important player in DNA damage repair. And it turns out that actually 53BP1 and BRCA, which is short for breast cancer interacting gene, kind of reciprocally regulate how double-strand DNA damage is repaired. And as a result, both have direct implications in cancer. So I'm studying the interaction between 53BP1 and LC8 at a biophysical level to try and find the specific molecular role of 53BP1 in breast cancer development. And so in order to do that, I'm actually developing some interesting new protocols for in-cell NMR. And so you can see here over on the right, this is two NMR spectra of 53BP1, just a fragment containing the LC8 binding domain and the oligomerization domain. And so this black spectrum is actually the spectrum of 53BP1 in live E. coli. And we actually took a spectrum afterwards that shows that all of the protein is indeed inside of living cells. And I'm currently working on a protocol to electroporate labeled proteins into mammalian cells so we can study this interaction in a physiologically relevant situation. And I actually just about a month ago turned in an NIH fellowship application on this work. So hopefully that goes well for me. And I do just about all of my work with some pipettes and a couple of computers that I purchased with my ARCS award. So thank you all for that. And I didn't get a cat during the pandemic, but I did get a lizard, and his name is Rex, and he's doing very good. So thank you all.
Thanks, Jesse. And I think Jesse, maybe it was in his first year and probably was our last actual lab tour that we were in person. We got to go and see Jesse's lab. So thank you for that. Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Jennifer Jenke. I'm a neuroscience student at OHSU, and I study this protein dystroglycan, which has been studied a lot in muscle and is really important for muscle structure. But more recently, we've been looking more at its role in the brain, where it seems to be important for the formation of connections between brain cells. And I'm looking at a part of a brain where we've never studied dystroglycan before. This is the cerebellum, which is just this beautiful structure. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to work in this part of the brain. I have an image of the cerebellum there on the slide. I love microscopy, and a large component of my research is on the microscope. So I feel very lucky. And I just want to say thank you to ARCS, and thank you to my sponsors, Susan and Bill Smith, who I saw are here. And I wish we could spend some more time together, but thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Sunil.
Sunil's not with us either tonight.
Okay, Sunil's not with us. Okay, give you a second to digest all that information. Tanya.
And I don't see Tanya either.
Okay, we'll keep on moving. Give you a second to look over her work. Jesse, is Jesse with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse. I am a third-year PhD candidate in the Department of Integrated Biology at OSU. So in my research, I track species responses to change over time. And I think about how species and terrestrial systems respond to climate change and changes in land cover over the period of about 100 years. I'm looking at a system in the Northern Great Basin, tracking the small mammals and the birds, thinking about their functional diversity and how that's been affected by the last 100 years of climatic change. This has been a really challenging year for my research because I mentor a crew of undergraduate interns that I take out in the field. In 2019, we had a really successful field season. In 2020, we had to cancel our entire field season because it was taking place right as the pandemic was happening. But I pivoted and worked on some other projects. I was able to publish a paper with some collaborators. I worked on a computational project as a different part of my dissertation. And got a lot of work done on that. I'm happy to say that we're on track to return to the field in 2021. I've been busy working in the lab and prepping things for that field season, which is going to get underway here in the next coming weeks. I also took the time with some graduate students and postdocs at Oregon State University to co-found a project called Field Safe, which is a grassroots initiative at OSU that's hoping to improve training and prevention to stop sexual assault and harassment in fieldwork, which is actually a big problem in both professional and academic fieldwork. Myself as a white male, I don't face this problem, but many of my peers and colleagues that are women and other minoritized identities face this problem in the field. So I thought, I've been given so much from organizations like ARCS, I wanted to try to give back. So I helped co-found this initiative, and we're actually holding a seminar at the end of May with a panel discussion on this very topic. So I'd be happy to share that information with ARCS. So hopefully we can get a lot in attendance to be able to see that. I just want to thank ARCS for supporting me and all the other scholars here. It's super important and it means the world to us. I did not get a cat, but my family did get a puppy, which has made a lot of extra work for me and my wife, but my boys are very happy. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jesse. That is really, really important work. And I'll just say myself, as a woman who had a career in engineering and did a lot of field work, I am so grateful that you would start a program like that. And we are, just a little side note, we're supporting a program that was founded by many of our ARCS scholar alums in the College of Earth, Ocean, and Atmospheric Science that is called Unpacking Diversity. So these are issues that are really important to us, and we would love to know more about your program. And so give us a shout and let us know what's going on. Thank you so much.
Hey, wait, sorry, but I want to jump in just because it's like so relevant. I don't know if you guys have seen, but PBS made this amazing documentary called Picture a Scientist, and I'll put it in the chat for anyone who hasn't seen it, but like you've got to watch it. It's so good. It's all about being a woman in science. And of course it touches on this idea of fieldwork. Anyways, okay, now I'm done.
Yeah, it's great. You should watch it. It's really good.
I watched it today, and yeah, so thrilled to hear your participation in that, Jesse. Okay, Amy.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Amy Leatherwood. I'm a third-year ARC Scholar and PhD student at Oregon Health and Science University, at the School of Nursing, under the guidance of my dissertation chair, Dr. Lisi Hansen. And my area of research interest and study right now is, is cancer survivorship. And it stems from my experience over the years working with cancer patients as a nurse practitioner. My dissertation is focused on understanding more about the relationship between cognitive function and the return to work experience in men who have received hormone ablation therapy along with radiation therapy to cure their prostate cancer. Hormone ablation therapy is given as an injection, and it lowers testosterone in a man's body to an undetectable level. And it's helpful in giving prostate cancer a 1-2 punch with radiotherapy, but because prostate cancer cells are pretty dependent on testosterone to thrive and grow, it really knocks them out. But it also, the drop in testosterone levels also can be related to multiple side effects, including impaired cognitive function, which also comes at a crucial time when cancer survivors might be returning to work after treatment. We do know that from studies in other survivors populations, cancer survivors populations, that the ability to return to work is really important to their overall well-being and for their ability to develop a new sense of normal after cancer treatment. So I'm studying this relationship between these three things, the treatment, the cognitive impairment, and also ability to return to work. let's see what else. I'm also, as you can see on my slide there, I'm currently in my dissertation writing phase right now. So that's what I've been doing in the year 2020 to 2021 is writing and schedule juggling. I have 3 kids and a husband and a dog and a cat. I didn't get any new animals this year, but and then I'm also busy building an anal dysplasia screening clinic in our surgery department at OHSU as well. So I do want to express my deepest gratitude to the ARCS Foundation, the Oregon chapter, and particularly to my donors, Kate Joseph and Tom Murray, for their amazing support of me over the past 3 years of my program. I'm really excited to be heading into the final stretch of this journey, and I'm looking forward to sharing my research with all of you at ARCS over the years in the future. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Not sure how you do it with 3 kids.
It's a lot.
Okay, now onward. Meredith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith. I'm a PhD student at Oregon State University in geology, and my research is focused on coastal geomorphology and coastal hazards like flooding and erosion. And we're really interested in understanding how our coasts and how hazards are going to evolve in response to climate change and our management decisions. And of course, who's going to be impacted by these changes. So most of my work is modeling based. I've been working on a few projects modeling coastal hazards over the next century in both Oregon and Hawaii. But I do get to do a little field work with my lab. Every summer we do topographic and bathymetric surveys on the Oregon and Washington coast. And those are pictured over here on the right. For the topographic surveys, we walk around with little GPS and echo sounder backpacks on the dunes. But to get a look at what the beach is doing underwater, we ride around on jet skis. The second photo is a video. I'm not sure if we're able to play it, but it's a lot less exciting than it sounds because you're only riding around at about 5 miles per hour and trying really hard not to get knocked off by the waves and mess up all of the expensive equipment. But I'm really looking forward to getting back out there this summer, spending some time out on the water. I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel of a very hard year. This week I've been taking my qualifying exams. And so I only have 1 more day of exams left. And then I'm getting my 2nd vaccine next week. So I'm just really looking forward to getting outside, spending time with friends and enjoying the weather. But I want to say a really big thank you to my donor, Lori Miggs, and the whole ARCS community. I felt so much support from this community, and it's just been a great experience and so impactful to my time here at OSU. So thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. We aren't able to show the video. The files are just too big, and so we're in a PDF mode. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. It's just 30 seconds of me trying to move very slowly through the surf zone.
Oh boy, so I am frozen up again. Just pause for a second.
So I think Malia, I'm actually up
Oh,
next,
great.
so I can give you a chance
Okay,
to
thanks for
battle
saving.
with technology, and I'll go ahead and start. So hi everyone, I'm Gretchen. I am a former ARCS scholar and a current ARCS member, which is why I was asked to say just a few words at this evening's event. And I have to admit, I was sort of stumped. You know, what can I contribute? What can I, as an early career scientist who still asks myself, what do I want to be when I grow up, possibly say to a group of ARCS members who are some of the most accomplished people I know? What can I, as someone who still gets really excited when my grandmom sends me $20 in a birthday card, possibly say to a group of donors that already contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars to this cause? And what can I possibly say to ARC scholars when it was not so long ago that I was also a graduate student? I honestly still have nightmares that I've showed up to my defense unprepared in pajamas. So really, what can I contribute? It's a real head scratcher. But then I had this breakthrough moment. I was talking with another ARCS member who I just think the world of. You know, she's one of those people who you just think, wow, she gets it. And she says to me, hey, have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? Now, I laughed at the irony because that was honestly one of the feelings that most defined my graduate school experience. There were very few days that went by where I didn't wonder if I was qualified, if I really deserved to be there, if I was contributing to anything meaningful at all. But honestly, it never occurred to me that someone so qualified and so accomplished might feel the same way. And that's when it hit me. Here's this immensely impressive, intelligent, generous person who I look up to, who still, at the end of the day, questions what she has to offer. And it never occurred to me that maybe everyone, regardless of their experience, their awards, education, their bank account, everyone can use a reminder that they're not imposters, that they really do have something meaningful to contribute. So that's the thing I'm going to offer you now. A reminder to everyone on the call that you're not an imposter. You have a lot to offer. You belong. You belong to the ARCS community and to the scientific community, and neither would be here if there weren't people like you. So to the other ARCS members and to the donors that have joined us today, you're absolutely making a difference. I say this both as a former scholar who's a recipient of the financial support you provided, but also now as an ARCS member who is finally starting to see how much hard work goes on behind that annual check. If there's one thing you take away from the scholars' presentations this evening, it's that your support is meaningful, it's appreciated, and it's exactly where it needs to be. So to the ARCS scholars who are on the call, you guys are the real stars here, but I have a sneaking suspicion that at least some of you are also pretty familiar with imposter syndrome. You know it, right? That feeling that you're just waiting for someone to walk around the corner and say, hey, like, wait a minute, how did you get in here? So to you, I want to say you're in good company. I feel you. And as I was surprised to find out, I think a lot of the ARCS members and donors probably do too. But at the end of the day, you're an ARCS scholar, and you can take comfort in knowing that means that there is a really big group of people who believe you're right where you belong, and they're literally willing to stake thousands of dollars on that. So perhaps most importantly, being a valuable part of that ARCS community doesn't have to end after your third year as a scholar. Maybe you still have a couple years left of school, maybe you're wrapping up your degree now, or maybe you already have. But in any of these cases, we all at ARCS, we all believe that you have a lot to offer, and that doesn't have to end here. So we'd love to have you as members, and as former scholars, you don't even have to worry about dues. ARCS gets that. You probably just spent the last 2 years eating ramen out of a cup. So trust me, I get it. But if membership sounds a little daunting to you, that's totally okay. Just stay in touch. And I really want to underline what Karen said earlier. You know, I thought ARCS members were kidding when they said they'd attend my defense or meet me for tea or drinks or even give me financial advice. Guess what? They weren't kidding. They weren't kidding at all. And I honestly wish I'd realized sooner that ARCS is this amazing pre-made network of incredible people who are brimming with good advice. And I really encourage you all to take advantage of that as members of the club. So that's where I'm going to end it, with just one final reminder, right, to the members, to the donors, to the scholars. ARCS is definitely one community where your engagement, whatever that looks like, is really valued. You're valued. There are no imposters here. You've made an impact on the scientific community, and I, for one, really look forward to seeing what everyone on this call is going to do next. So with that, let's go on to the next round of scholar presentations. So back to you, Malia.
Thank you, Gretchen. That was a really, really great message. I really appreciate that. So hopefully we will move on and hear from some more scholars. Ian.
Hi, everyone. First, I was going to say thank you so much, Gretchen, for that. That really means a lot. And I always remember think it was right before I started my master's, one of my friends who was finishing up his PhD just described all of grad school as just imposter syndrome, just stretched out over like as many years as you're there. And that was his entire description of grad school. Anyway, sorry. I'm a student in both civil engineering and also wood science. And my work has been on the optimization and design of cross-laminated timber concrete floor systems. So if you're not familiar with cross-laminated timber, it's kind of like we took a Jenga set and we added glue and stuck it together, but made big panels out of it. So the pictures on the right there, that top one is CLT with concrete on the top of it, which is required for the floors and has been the focus of my research, is how best to attach those two pieces together to make everything stronger, easier to construct, and just overall work better. As part of that, we developed new connections. On the bottom, those weird screws with washers connected to them, that's been a lot of my PhD work, has been kind of designing and creating those. They're a brand new piece we've made. And I've been doing a lot of kind of work around that to kind of fill in gaps in the research to make it so that we can, in the US, build and design and make these tall wood structures with concrete and CLT. Right now, I'm actually doing testing tomorrow morning, is when finally I'm able to break some more pieces, which will be my last bit of experimental work for my PhD. And in 3 weeks, I have my prelim. So it's a really fun, stressful couple weeks that we're gonna get through. But things have been going pretty well, and I'm aiming to defend near the end of this calendar year. And I really want to go and teach. That's kind of what's been kind of a driving factor that I've realized also as I've continued through my PhD, is just how much kind of joy and fulfillment I get out of just helping people and making them, you know, reach their potential and success.
Thank you, Ian. For any of you who are on the field trip this year, the lab that Ian has there is actually in the same facility as the Wave Lab that we toured for the field trip. It's kind of tucked in the back, but it's pretty spectacular. Okay, Ashley.
I don't see Ashley on the call.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute to kind of look over her slide. So Ashley finished her PhD. Oh, fantastic. We'll definitely have to track her down and find out how that went. Hey, Mary.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Davis. I'm a third-year PhD student at the School of Nursing at Oregon Health and Science University. And I am conducting research specifically on symptoms and gender differences in heart failure. What you may not know is that women continue to be underrepresented in research, and particularly in cardiovascular research, women are only engaged in about 30% of studies. So I'm trying to really center on women who make up half of the cardiovascular population and half of the heart failure population in particular, and to understand differences between men and women so we can do some focused interventions in healthcare to help improve quality of life in heart failure and cardiovascular syndromes. One thing I was able to complete this year, which is wonderful, is a meta-analysis of frailty in heart failure. And frailty is very common in heart failure patients, which contributes to decreased cardiovascular lifespan, and also just decreases quality of life. And what we found was that women with heart failure have a 26% relative risk of being frail compared to men. And so about half of heart failure patients are frail, and among those, women are more likely to be frail than men. And so that is a great place to start to really intervene with making sure patients don't become frail. I just was able to submit a NIH fellowship application or grant application in April, I guess. And I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And then my research next year will be focused specifically on doing some advanced statistical analysis, looking at symptom differences in depressive and physical symptoms in heart failure between men and women. And then I'm hoping to be done completely next June. I'm so grateful to Barbara Giese and her family for supporting me during this time. And it's been super fun for me because I actually worked with Barbara's husband, Dr. Giese, when I was in the clinical setting. And so it's been a great connection to kind of carry through my career. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, Anna.
Yeah, hi. I'm Anna Simpson here at OSU, and my research area is up in coastal Alaska, and I'm really interested in how the steep topography, so the underwater bathymetry, is affecting how tidal currents flow into narrow fjords and impacting the temperature of the water and therefore the heat and energy, and how those systems are changing with glaciers retreating, and also the ecosystem changes that are being observed as a result of ocean warming. In terms of my life, my partner and I bought a sailboat last summer, which has been a super fun new thing to have during this really challenging year. And I'm just super grateful to my donors and the whole ARCS community for all of the support over the last few years.
Thanks, Anna. I hope that I have a nephew and a niece who surfed the Boar Tide on the Turnagain Arm. And I hope that the rising sea level doesn't affect the Turnagain Arm tidal bore.
I don't think it should, but because the bathymetry is super shallow in there, and that shouldn't change. But I guess we'll see.
Okay, very good. Okay, onward. Mia?
I don't see Mia with us.
Okay, thank you. I can't find her octopus. Maybe it's this little ball, I don't know. I wish she was here to tell us. Okay, carry on. Marie?
And I don't see Marie.
Okay. Marie started her research on the spotted skunk, which is in the picture on the top left-hand corner. That was when we first met her doing that research. And I think her research migrated, but boy, those little skunks were so cute. Okay, I know Alex is here.
Yep, I'm here. Hello. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just make sure. All right, so yeah, my name is Alex. I'm a robotics student at OSU. For those of you who were at the field trip a couple weeks ago, a lot of this might sound familiar to you, but basically, so I'm working in the field of agricultural robotics, and in particular, my interest is in using robots to prune fruit trees. And so just as a general overview, in agriculture, there's still a lot of manual labor. It's very tough labor. It's strenuous. It's you got to work in the really hot times and the really cold times. I know this because I've been out in the fields with the robots in both 100-degree weather and 30-degree weather. It is a fun time. But in general, there's very much like a labor shortage in agriculture. And so the idea is that we can have robots step in to sort of fill in this missing labor gap. But agriculture is really tough for robots because robots really don't like to be outdoors. They don't like lighting changes. They don't like that dirt will make their sensors dirty and things like that. And of the many, many different problems to be solved in agriculture, I have heard from many people, from several people, that pruning might actually be one of the hardest tasks because it needs to understand a very complex structure, the trees that we're looking at, it needs to model it, and then it needs to think about where would be a good spot on the tree to prune based off of these rules on, trying to optimize the overall tree growth. And then it needs to be able to go ahead and execute those cuts afterwards. And so my work has been sort of looking at all the sort of steps of this process. And so in particular, I've been looking at things such as recently I submitted a paper on tree modeling. So how do we make a very lightweight model of the tree that we can make cutting decisions from? And I've also been working with things like path planning the arm. So just how do we move the arm from point A to point B? And computer vision, machine learning to make sure that we can actually get the cutters around, accurately cutting the branch, more or less. And so I mentioned that, the ARCS funding has been valuable for just helping to fund this sort of outdoor work. Been doing pretty well in my spare time. I was a fairly indoors person before, but I have been getting outdoors as well. It's always a good time to go out and explore everything that Oregon has to offer. And so, like everyone else, I really want to thank ARCS as a whole for providing, again, the financial support and the emotional, the moral support that I think has just been really, really helpful. And especially that sort of talk about just Gretchen, the imposter syndrome. That very much resonated with me. And I'd like to thank Diane and Dick specifically, my donors, for the financial support. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And I think that is the end of our scholar presentation, and I'll turn it over to Mary Strickler to wrap it up.
Malia?
Yes?
Michael Berry came in.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so let's go for a little ride here. We have to go all the way back to the beginning, and we'll get Michael in there. Thank you for that.
Thanks. Sorry I was
Hey,
late.
no problem.
Hi all. Yeah, so I'm a third year. I'm an MD PhD student at Oregon Health and Science. So that's kind of a dual degree. And so I kind of in a phase right now where I'm splitting my time. So Fridays I'm in the clinic, and then the rest of the week I'm in the lab doing research. And my research focuses on a population of cells in the eye that are non-image forming. So these are cells that project to areas in the brain that are responsible for non-image forming vision. So things like that tell you like when to wake up in the morning, and different hormones that are released throughout the day that are controlled by light, and things like the pupillary light reflex. So when your eyes adapt from going into a movie theater, or when your eyes adapt when you leave a movie theater, these are things that are controlled by this population of cells that are subconscious. And this is the same reason, these cells are the reason why when you look at a computer screen at night, it affects your ability to sleep. And that's why they suggest that you wear green or blue tinted glasses to block that wavelength of light. And so it's a really fun and interesting project. And most of my PhD work has been focusing on what the function of these cells actually do, because it's only been relatively recent that they were discovered. And the way that they were discovered is that blind patients, so patients with severe forms of inherited retinal disease, they would show up to the clinic, and you ask them how many fingers am I holding up? Can you see the whiteboard? And their answer is no, right? They walk everywhere with a cane or with an aid. But if you look at their schedules, they still know when to get up in the morning, and they still have normal regulation of hormones and body temperature throughout the day that's based on a light-dark cycle. And so it's kind of how these cells were discovered, is that they don't seem to be sensitive to the same forms of degeneration that are seen in other forms of retinal disease. And so the way I'm studying them is both to try and figure out how they work and how they function, and what areas of the brain they control, because it turns out that they go to a host of different areas, such as pain and circadian rhythm. And so the connection is also to try and figure out how we can harness the resilience of these cells in disease, and kind of apply that to the broader retina. And so this is a picture of me on the far right. What I'm doing is I'm filling up a water maze for these animals to run in. Or swim in. They hate water, and so you basically hide an escape platform just underneath the surface of the water. and then you pair a visual stimuli with the side or the arm that has the escape platform. And then if these animals can see, or they can see the pattern that you're presenting, they will learn over a series of days to go to that area because they know the escape platform's there. So this is just one way in which mice can be tested for their vision, without actually asking the mouse, can you see? So this work and some of my vision restoration work, which I've spoken on before, is also conducted at Berkeley. And so the ARCS scholarship has really provided me the ability to travel and go back and forth between the two institutions and kind of keep these projects alive and able to continue them throughout my graduate studies. And so I'm really grateful for that. So a special thank you to the ARCS Foundation, and a special thank you to Sharon and Henry Hewitt, who are my sponsors. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, I'm not going to put you guys through running through the screen, so we'll just stop sharing, and Mary will send us off.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for everyone attending. I think we had over 50 participants tonight, and it's hard that we're not in person, but I really enjoyed each of your presentations and being able to hear you speak individually. It's a fascinating evening. You guys' research just always blows my mind personally. And we're so happy that we can be a part of it. And it's a bonus to be able to hear about what you do outside of research and what's keeping you busy with your lives. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. The members and the scholars, we appreciate it. And we really wish all of our third-year scholars best of luck, and please keep in touch. We love to hear how everything is progressing with you going forward. So good night, everyone.